Hi folks, welcome to American Outdoors. Here in Tennessee, this last week or two has been absolutely gorgeous with the colors changing, and the temperatures have been really pleasant. However, cold weather, at least for Tennessee, is on its way. So I am out here, I'm trying to finish up some splitting and storing some wood for next year or the year after. I recently had a new neighbor who moved in, and they are new to living out in the country and homesteading, if that's what you want to call it. And so they just had some questions, and it just came to mind, you know, I probably should share some things that I wish I had known when I first started out many years ago. And so this video isn't for folks that are experienced in burning firewood and collecting firewood, but more so for the newbie. Bear with me, because this is going to be some information that a lot of you have probably already heard or you already know and practice. But what do you do? You're starting from scratch. You know, maybe you just moved out into the country. Maybe you just installed a fireplace or a wood burning stove and you have no firewood. It is late in the year. Well, you don't have to have a lot of money to start up. People say that it's cheaper to burn wood than it is, you know, other conventional utilities, and we've done plenty of videos on that. Firewood versus electric versus propane versus heating oil, all of them. And yes, the answer is it is cheaper in the long run. Initially, there can be some investment. However, you don't have to break the bank to start heating your home this year if you've got no firewood. But there are a couple tips I'm going to give that you should follow. When it comes to getting firewood, in most areas of the country, it's not hard to find a firewood supplier. What I would suggest though is you have more than one. 3 would be optimal. And it's not hard to locate firewood suppliers in most areas of the country. Whether there's note cards on the bulletin board at your hardware store, or just going onto Facebook Marketplace and looking up firewood. There's going to be people around. But if you don't know any, having options is to your benefit. You know, you're not always necessarily looking for the cheapest price. There's plenty of guys out there that will deliver firewood for cheap. Knowing the kind of firewood you're getting is also important, and knowing how much firewood you're getting. You know, there are terms like a full cord, a face cord, or a rick, which is popular down here in the southeast, which is about half of what a full cord is, a truckload of firewood. It's important that you do a little homework so that you don't make a mistake, because let's go back to price. One supplier might be $20 or $30 cheaper than another supplier. Does he deliver? Will he stack the wood for you? What kind of firewood is he selling? You might see advertisements that will say mixed hardwoods, for example. Well, that's fine. Mixed hardwoods could be oak, hickory, just an assortment of stuff that burns really well in your fireplace. Or is it softwoods, you know, pine? Despite what all the naysayers will tell you, you can burn pine in a fireplace or a wood stove if it's seasoned. You know, the problem with softwoods though is they burn hot and they burn quick. And what happens is when you'll go to bed at night and you throw some hardwoods in the wood stove, in the morning when you wake up, you should have embers. And it can be as simple as just stirring the coals, throwing in some fresh wood, and it will reignite within a couple of minutes. With softwoods, you get out of bed in the morning, and what you're going to find in your wood stove is the equivalent of talcum powder type ash. There's not going to be a lot of coals. One guy may be a little cheaper than the other. Well, how far away is he? Again, does he deliver, or do you have to go pick it up? How old is the wood? You know, seasoned is sort of subjective. Somebody can tell you it's seasoned, but what I would suggest, and I'm not advocating spending a whole lot of money your first year. You can get away with a minimum of investment burning firewood your first year if you just use a little common sense. But what you can invest in is 20 or 30 bucks for a moisture sensor for firewood. You can go to your local hardware store, big box store, buy them online. They can say their firewood is seasoned. Test the wood while you're there. It should be no more than 20%. Now, optimally, Low teens would be good. And when it comes to pricing, you can also find free firewood. You can do a search on Marketplace, for example, free firewood. You may be driving down the road and you'll see a house that's got a downed tree. Or again, on Marketplace, you'll see somebody that's listing free firewood. We got some trees that were hit by a storm, or we had some property cleared and it's free for the taking. You can also check with sawmills, lumber yards, tree trimmers may have stuff on their property that, hey, come pick it up. There are avenues to find wood that you don't have to pay a lot of money for. And honestly, the later in the season, the more expensive it may be to find good hardwoods too. So having 3 options gives you a better chance at getting the best price, the best quality, and the best service. Going back to what I said about equipment, you don't need to have all kinds of equipment this year. And by equipment, I mean an axe, a splitter, a chainsaw, a maul, tools that you'll need to create your own firewood. In the long term, you can think about that, down the road. But now, what you can do if you're going to cut your own firewood is just rent. You can go to a rental supply store, a hardware store. You can rent a chainsaw. You can rent a trailer. You can rent a wood splitter. You can rent all the things that you need to make firewood right now. If you don't want to rent, buy used. And by used, I mean, hey, somebody's got an old chainsaw, an old splitter, they're trying to get rid of. It doesn't look pretty, but the price is right. It only needs to last you so you've got firewood this year. If this is your first year burning wood, buy enough to get you through this winter. Buy enough or make enough to get you through next year. You're buying next year's firewood right now. You want it to be seasoned. Now, something else that is also subjective is how long it takes to season firewood. Well, some of it depends on the type of wood, how you store it, where you store it. But I have seasoned hardwoods in less than a year. I've seasoned hardwoods in 10 months, 9 months. I've also seen it take longer than that. It's important to keep it covered. Keep it stored where there's airflow. You don't want to cover the whole cord of wood if that's what you have. You want to cover the top so that rain is not hitting it directly, and it allows air to go through the firewood. Store your firewood off the ground. If that means using a pallet, use them for sacrificial pieces. Store it in an area where there's sunlight. Close to the house, but not next to the house. And when it comes to free firewood, just going back on that for a minute, as I said, there's all sorts of options and avenues out there to get wood, and you don't have to pay a premium. However, you need to avoid wood that's basically dead. And what I mean is it's starting to rot. And you'll see wood that's rotten. It may look like it's been infested with insects, or it's wet, it's got fungus and mold, it's soggy. Wood like that has lost its density. I remember years ago when we first started heating our home with wood, we were burning stuff that we had cut literally weeks before. And here's some of the things that we experienced. It was a son of a gun to get those fires lit. They smoked. They threw all sorts of soot and creosote up into the chimney. And once you have a good fire established in your home, it should be burning in your wood stove 400 to 500 degrees. That's an optimal temperature. That's extracting a lot of clean energy out of the wood. We would struggle to get a fire to go over 300 degrees. And at that point, you can hear the wood hissing. It's boiling the sap, or it's boiling the moisture out of the wood, creating steam. That's no good. And that's another thing that you'll notice when you're burning wood it's just not seasoned properly. Don't panic. Good firewood's out there. But the key is just doing a little homework, starting to get prepared for the long term as well as right now, and you'll be fine. Let me know if there's something I missed or you disagree with. Post your comments down below. I'll try and answer them. I'm just shooting this off the cuff, so I'm sure I've missed some things. But I just thought it was important after talking to my neighbor just to share some of these thoughts, because I know there's a lot of people out there in this day and age, they're trying to beat the utilities and they're trying to get off the grid in some cases. And there's a way you can do it without having to rush into it, and there's a way you can do it without having to learn all your lessons by paying for them. Anyway, from all of us here at American Outdoors, thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.